Hello, I'm Lara Kulchasan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. Israel has partially reopened the Rafah crossing after nearly 18 months. It's Gaza's only border crossing that does connect to Israel. Only foot traffic is allowed into Egypt, and Israel limits the number of Palestinians permitted to cross each day. So the vast majority of Palestinians trapped outside Gaza are unable to return. On the first day of reopening on Monday, only 12 people were able to cross into Gaza, with movement subject to strict restrictions and Israeli approval.
I have been waiting for a long time. I'm one of the first people who registered my name and my family name. I'm talking about my mom also wants to go back to Gaza too, using this link provided by the Palestinian embassy in Cairo. And I have been waiting, and this process is taking so long. And the news we're hearing from local Palestinian news, it will be very difficult for people from outside Gaza to enter Gaza Strip. Israelis are interested to send people out more than sending people from outside Gaza inside Gaza, and they have conditions. Those who are allowed to go back to Gaza, those who left Gaza during the war, not before the war. And this is actually a very sensitive topic to mention and to discuss, but this is also very difficult for many people who went out to Egypt or any country to receive treatment before the war. For me, if the Israelis reject me also, I'm going to speak up about it, why they reject Palestinians, why they want to restrict the number of Palestinians wants to go back to Gaza. Many civilians he wants to go back. They're suffering. They don't receive support. They need to go back home to survive. Even Gaza Strip is a very challenging place.
A Palestinian woman who returned to the enclave describes the harsh treatment she faced at the hands of Israeli forces at the crossing. Her account sheds light on the conditions faced by civilians as they attempt to return to Gaza.
أخذنا أنا وأمي وكمان ست بس 3 من 12 شخص. أخذنا غمانا وربطنا وقاعد يسألنا ويجاوبنا عن حاجات إحنا ما بنعرفها ولا إحنا إلنا دخل فيها. ما لنا دخل في أي شيء في هذا اللي بيحكي لنا إياه. بدي يحرمنا أولادنا، بدي ياخذني كأسيرة، محقق مع الجارة اللي معايا إنه بدي ياخذها إنها تتعامل معاهم أو تصير جاسوسة أو تصير عميلة معاهم. ما بنفع الكلام هذا. من كل شيء، من تفتيشات، من موضوع الهجرة، من موضوع حماس، من موضوع 7 أكتوبر، من كل مواضيع. يحرمونا أولادنا، بدهم مش هنا نرجع على غزة، مش عدد كبير ولا إنه يرجع، بدهم عدد كبير إنه يطلع.
Apple is gently turning up the volume on artificial intelligence. The tech giant has acquired QAI, an Israeli startup specializing in artificial intelligence for audio. The acquisition also comes as Apple continues to face boycott calls from pro-Palestinian activists over its ties to Israel.
Apple just bought an Israeli AI startup that can listen to silent speech. At nearly $2 billion, it's one of their largest acquisitions yet, which means the tech that they're acquiring is not just really important, but it might become one of the biggest threats to our privacy in the future. Q.AI has a patent that uses cameras to look at micro movements in your face. It can then detect things that you're saying, even if you're whispering, very accurately. It can also capture emotion, heart rate, respiratory rate, and many other biological indicators. On a surface level, Apple probably wants to use this to enhance things like Siri and interactions with things like the Apple Vision Pro. But if you dig deeper into the tech, it sets a foundation for something much more scary. In military and health applications, it's been discovered that when you think in speech, your face actually makes involuntary micro movements. And as a result, there's already tech that exists that allows disabled people to potentially type with their thoughts, that allows the military to interrogate people more effectively. And if this is Apple's second largest acquisition ever, we can't help but wonder if there's a future in which Apple would not just be able to listen to your speech, but maybe even your thoughts. That level of granularity is obviously not yet confirmed, and the details behind this acquisition are being kept very quiet. But given the fact that Apple and Google have paid out massive settlements for their always-on listening technology, it'll be important that we keep tabs on this.
The world world's richest man, Elon Musk, has merged two of his most ambitious firms, SpaceX and artificial intelligence startup xAI. This union will make it the world's most valuable private company. Musk said the merger isn't the next chapter, but the next book in the company's mission.
Why would you want to do this deal? Because AI is so expensive. xAI is apparently burning through $1 billion a month. Obviously, that's way too much for one company to carry alone, and that's where SpaceX comes in. SpaceX is Musk's most profitable cash machine, and all the profit they make could be used to fund xAI. Now, Musk's vision doesn't just stop here. He wants AI data centers in orbit, which could be facilitated with the rocket launch of SpaceX. And those data centers would be feeding xAI with all the energy and infrastructure that Tesla can also provide. Now, this makes a lot of sense. You have one ecosystem, one balance sheet. But the tension is that SpaceX is reportedly going to list on the public market in 2026. And people think this IPO could be worth $1 trillion plus. So having a merger between SpaceX and xAI could delay this IPO or completely reshape it.
The merger will boost xAI's competitiveness in the AI race, and SpaceX, which is seen as the cash cow in Musk's stable, will be able to give xAI a massive cash injection. Musk is also looking at creating data centers in space. He has written to the Federal Communication Commission asking to launch a constellation of 1 million satellites into orbit. The aim is to create solar-powered data centers to meet growing data demands driven by AI.
Turns out nobody wants an AI data center in their backyard, so they're thinking for the next best thing. Where do we put them? We need more space. We need more space. What if we put them in space? Yeah, this is a real idea, by the way.
And no, it's not just a money move. It's an engineering necessity. Here's the problem. Earth is running out of power. AI models like Grok need gigawatts of electricity, and our grids literally cannot handle it. Plus, cooling these chips costs a fortune. And the solution? Orbital data centers. Think about it. In space, solar power is 24/7. No clouds, no nighttime, and the biggest win? Cooling. Space is freezing. You can dump heat via radiation without a single drop of water or an AC unit. So SpaceX launches the hardware, Starlink beams down the data, and xAI trains the models. We aren't just exploring space anymore. We're turning it into a motherboard. Is this genius or risky?
Let's go through the pros and the cons. Starting with the pros. At least the data centers won't be here anymore. So less pollution, cheaper power bills. They would just power them with the sun, and they wouldn't have to deal with any of those annoying regulations that they ignore anyway. As for the cons, there's a lot of things just floating around in space, like Elon satellites, space debris, asteroids. And if a space data center got hit by one, repairing it would be very difficult. Cooling them without air or water would also be very difficult. And finally, probably the biggest con, it would definitely make Elon a trillionaire, and like, why?
For the first time, social media companies in the US are being sued for hooking young people to their platforms. Until now, there has never been a legal precedent to back claims that algorithms hook young users and that excessive consumption can damage mental health. The lawsuit was filed by a 20-year-old woman from California, identified only by her initials KGM. She says she began using social media at just 8 years old and argues that platform algorithms were deliberately designed to keep her hooked, causing addiction and long-term harm to her mental health. The defendants include Instagram owner Meta and Alphabet's YouTube. Snap, the parent of Snapchat, and TikTok were original name in the case as well, but settled shortly before the trial began. It's been nearly 2 months since Australia became the first country to ban social media for children under 16. Under the country's online safety laws, platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Snapchat, Reddit, and YouTube are now required to stop teens from creating or keeping accounts, or else face heavy fines.
Australia's social media ban sent shockwaves through big tech. For now, it is the only country to have taken such measures to protect children. But not for long. Just across the Tasman Sea, New Zealand is likely to be next. The government has introduced a bill to ban social media for under 16s, closely modelled on Australia's approach. And the debate is gaining traction around the world. In Pakistan, courts are reviewing proposals to restrict social media use for minors. In India, as concerns over youth mental health grow, Several states are actively considering similar bans. The conversation doesn't stop there. In France, a law has already been approved to block social media access for children under 15, set to take effect by late 2026. And countries including Spain, Italy, Germany, Greece and Denmark are reviewing draft legislation, parliamentary proposals and tougher age verification systems inspired by Australia's model. And in the United Kingdom, pressure is mounting on the government to introduce an Australian-style ban. The government's upper house voted decisively in favour of restricting social media platforms to the under-16s.
Experts warn it's still too early to call Australia's social media ban a success. Some children are already bypassing age checks or drifting towards less regulated platforms, often without their parents' knowledge.
So what are you actually trying to do, Ash?
Make myself have wrinkles.
Okay, it worked?
Oh, yeah, I think it worked.
It worked.
Oh, yeah, no,
It worked?
Let me in.
The trick Asha used to fool facial age verification was simple and fast. And it raises a bigger question. Is Australia's ban actually stopping children from accessing social media?
So far, what the numbers have told us is that a large number of the accounts have been closed down, upwards of 4.7 million accounts across various platforms. However, some young people, in fact a lot of young people, have accounts on multiple platforms. So how many kids are actually included in that 4.7 number, we don't know for sure.
Under Australia's law, platforms can verify age in several ways. By requesting ID, using facial age estimation, or analysing existing account data. The critics argues that it still leaves too much power and too much data in the hands of tech companies.
It may seem on the surface that these companies are being held to account. I think a lot of us would argue that in fact they're not. They've actually effectively been allowed to sort of keep on business as usual, collect more data, and call it good.
Parents and experts agree the ban is well intended. It's forced a long overdue conversation about online safety, scams, bullying and addiction. But they also warn the workarounds may come with risks.
The first day it was released, I was sent a doc which explained how to get past it. There's no real point really, because I'll just find more workarounds. Because kids are smarter.
So the concern is these workarounds are going to may mean that kids are both online in these spaces now with even less regulation and oversight. They may be less likely to tell caretakers or parents if they encounter negative things online since they're not supposed to be there.
Some say the real solutions lie in the real world. Others are turning to stricter household rules, limiting screen time or removing devices altogether at night. While experts say it's already too late to change habits for many of today's teens, they believe younger children growing up with clearer boundaries could be part of a longer cultural shift. For now, Australia's experiment is still unfolding, and we'll just have to wait a while before its effectiveness is truly known.
If you plan to visit Rome's iconic Trevi Fountain and make a wish, it's now going to cost you. The capital's officials have introduced a fee to visit the historic spot where tourists toss coins and make wishes. The city insists the charge isn't about making money, but crowd control. So when in Rome, you now have to pay to wish for love.
So apparently you have to buy a €2 ticket to approach the fountain and throw your coin in. But one of the articles said that people were just like lobbing their coins over the top of everyone. They were hitting people in the head. Apparently it is only for non-residents and it's only during the day from 11 to 10 Monday to Friday and 9 till 10 on the weekends. But then after 10 p.m. apparently it's free.
What the new system actually looks like in real life. I arrived here around 8 o'clock p.m. and honestly, there was no real lineup. It felt calm and very, very organized for Rome. There were staff members ready to scan cards for the €2 payment, and once you pay, you're allowed right into the inner area and right up to the fountain. The whole process took maybe a minute or two. So if you're just passing through the piazza or looking from the upper viewing areas up here, that part is still completely free. The ticket only applies if you want to go right up to the water here. So far, this feels much more about crowd control than restriction. The experience is actually quieter and more enjoyable than usual.
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.